Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the Online Series 9 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode, we used this really fun team featuring Power Bracer Charizard, which of course has its speed, and you use that in combination with the Sunny Day, Trick Room, Dusclops to get some really nice sweeps with Charizard under Trick Room with the Sun. Of course, there are a lot of other fun components to this team, namely the Super Luck Razor Claw Togekiss with Follow Me, no Max Airstream or Air Slash, and the Life Orb Spectrier with Nasty Plot. We didn't really get to use Spectrier very much in yesterday's episode, so I'm hoping to utilize it a little bit more, but once again, huge thank you to G-Sock for the team. He is linked in the description below, as well as a rental and a paste for the team, and yeah, I think, this is definitely one of the most unique strategies in the Power Bracer Charizard that we've used throughout all of Series 7 and Series 9, and I always really love it to, when you take a conventional Pokemon and just kind of completely turn it around 180 and surprise your opponents. So yeah, had a lot of fun with Charizard yesterday. If you haven't seen that last episode, the first game especially highlighted how good Charizard under Trick Room can be in the right matchup. But let's get into today's episode. Before we get started, today's episode is sponsored by the Ridge. The Ridge makes some really awesome products, and their most popular product is the Ridge Wallet, which you can see right here. It's a super minimalistic wallet that's able to fit up to 12 cards between these two metallic plates, and there's also a band or strap for cash here in the back. Super easy to use as well. You slide out your cards using this little indent here, pull out whatever you need, and slide back as such. I've been using the Ridge Wallet for over a year now, as you may have seen on the channel. I'm happy to say that I continue to really love the wallet. Is basically the wallet I've been using for a year at this point. But if you don't believe me, there are over 40,000 5-star reviews for the product. By the way, there's also free shipping and free returns within 45 days, so you can always get one of these, try it out. If you decide you don't like it, send it back to them and get your money back. I'm currently on their website at rich.com/VGC, and you can see all the different kind of designs and colors that the Ridge Wallet comes in. This is my personal favorite one. It's the carbon fiber one, but it comes in all kinds of different materials and colors. Normally, I tell you to use my code VGC for 10% off your next order, but there's actually a Father's Day sale going on for the next couple of weeks, and you can use DAD15 for 15% off your next order. Just don't forget to use my affiliate link at rich.com/VGC. So, if you ever considered getting a Ridge product, this is really one of the best times. As I always say when I cover the Ridge as well, I really love their line of backpacks, and yeah, if you're looking for something outside of just the wallets, I'd highly recommend the weatherproof backpacks, both the commuter bag and the classic bag, as well as their duffel bag. So I've linked my favorite products from the Ridge down in the description below. Huge thank you to them for continuing to support the channel, and yeah, if you have any questions about the products, feel free to send me a DM on Twitter. Alright, getting into our first match of the day, and okay, this is going to be an interesting one. They have a rain team. Now, Rotom-H is a really big issue. I honestly kind of want to play towards Spectrier, which is kind of fitting, because yesterday I was saying about how much I wanted to use Spectrier, but we couldn't really pull it out yesterday, and today, I feel like it has a lot of value. For example, we can go Togekiss plus Spectrier in the lead. The thing about Charizard is, it's kind of fun, right? But I don't even do that much damage to my opponent's team, even under Trick Room with the Sun up. So it just doesn't feel that worth it to me. In a best of 3, I think Charizard could actually be a great adjustment in games 2 or 3, but I definitely think we should play towards Spectre in game 1. So I think it's just going to be Togekiss, Spectre, Rillaboom, and Urshifu here. I basically need all the damage I can get against Rotom-H. And Rotom-H is quite the issue for us here. So, yeah. Either way, this should be a fun match, and yeah, this team in general is just super interesting. So once again, huge thank you to G-Sock for the team. You can find them linked down in the description below, as well as a rental and a paste. And thank you to you all, as always, for watching Road to Ranked. If you enjoyed, please share your support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you once again to the Ridge for sponsoring today's video as well. I guess question of the day, even though there isn't a formal one, is I want to know if you've tried out any of the teams that we've used in Series 9 so far, and which one has been your favorite. Just let me know in the comment section below. Yeah, for me, I don't know if I have a specific favorite, just because part of the reason I like trying to feature all of these different teams is because I think they can be strong. They also are really fun. The Hawlucha team was really interesting. That one was probably one of my favorites, just in the sense that it had so many Pokemon that I'm not really used to using. So that might be my answer. It's gonna be Rotom and Grimmsnarl. I mean, this isn't bad per se, but turn 1's definitely a little bit awkward. It's pretty easy for me to go Follow Me plus Nasty Plot turn 1. I could also just go Dazzling Gleam plus Nasty Plot. I definitely think we want a Nasty Plot here, that's for sure. So I'm kind of down to Gleam Plot. This, I guess, will be interesting. Like, there's a couple of big question marks here. One, what kind of set is the Grimmsnarl? I'm expecting dual screens, but it definitely could be Trick Full Incense. Two, does Rotom Nasty Plot, or does it just max turn one? Ooh, they're gonna max. Okay. I guess Follow Me was probably safer here just to prevent, because I think Lightning going into Spectrier here is a really, like, safe play for my opponent to make. So, I think if I were to replay this, perhaps I would just go Follow Me Nasty Plot. I don't know how good that really feels, though. Yeah, unfortunately, I think our Rotom Heat matchup with this team is just not exactly the strongest. Okay, they are just going to go for Light Screen. I mean, Light Screen max Lightning into Togekiss would be ideal, but I think if I'm in my opponent's shoes, I'm always targeting the Spectrier slot here. So if Spectrier survives, this will become really, really interesting. But I'm not really counting on it. Oh, I mean, we are kind of bulky here. Like, it's not just max special attack, max speed. Okay, yeah, Spectrier does survive. Then this becomes really interesting, because the other thing I have to be careful about is the obvious Kingdra Politoed combo that's going to be waiting for me in the back. Like, that's obviously pretty scary. We get Gleam off, no crit, unfortunately. Crit would have been really nice onto Grim, but it's the Rotom that we crit instead. Okay. Now, if you're my opponent, I would just max Lightning Spectrier again. What I can do is go for a Follow Me. You know what I like doing? Yeah, I'm going to go for Follow Me plus Max Quake. It's not going to KO the Grimmsnarl. That's why if I got a crit last turn, things would have been really nice, because I could have gotten a special defense boost and gotten the knockout, but I think it's still fine. The thing about beating Rotom in this matchup, first of all, great awareness by my opponent to just go for the Dynamax on turn 1, rather than, you know, risk something like a Nasty Plot, because you don't want to take too much damage from a Life Orb Max Phantasm. So I think they made really a super safe and smart play on turn 1, so well done on their end. They're going to bring in Politoed. Honestly, that's fine with me, because I wasn't going to KO Grimmsnarl there anyway. Politoed's obviously going to be a nuisance. The main thing we have to consider in this game is how do we set ourselves up for victory, right? And the main thing is that we need to get a chunk of damage onto Rotom at some point, ideally from a Max Phantasm after its Dynamax. Now, I'm not sure I'll actually be able to accomplish that. If Togekiss can survive Max Lightning here after the special defense boost, I actually think we're in decent shape, because my opponent will have spent 3 turns of their Dynamax essentially to knock out one Pokemon, if that's the case. So, we're going to go for Follow Me. It's not Life Orb Rotom, so I'm thinking after a special defense boost, we'll survive Max Lightning. If not, that could be an issue. What we didn't want to do is actually get a KO on this Politoed. Yeah, exactly. Because if we get a knockout there, my opponent actually gets a free switch into Kingdra, which can then just go for like a Muddy Water, and that is not great for us. So Poly comes in, eats up its Citrus, that's fine. Another thing to note is that if I go for Phantasm, I get defense drops, and defense drops are actually really valuable considering I have 2 physical Pokemon in the back. Ooh, Togekiss takes that very, very nicely. Okay, great. Unfortunately, it was Citrus Politoed, so another Max Quake won't KO. I honestly think the best play here is to go for a Follow Me and don't target the Politoed, max Phantasm into the Rotom slot. Because that's the like chunk of damage that I need basically from it, right? I don't want to KO Politoed and just give my opponent a free switch it into the Kingdra immediately. So I'm down for this. Because even if your Rotom knocks out my Togekiss, wow, that's so much damage. Even if your Rotom knocks out Togekiss, unless Politoed gets a crit, we should survive a Scald on the Spectrier because of the special defense boost. Meaning, yes, it's 3v2, but I guess my fear here is getting burned. I could have gone like Max Quake plus Dazzle. I don't know if that would have KO'd Politoed though. If we don't crit, we probably don't, so don't think that's worth the risk. Ooh, they have Hydro Pump, but we survived by 9. Okay, that's huge. That's really critical. Nice. Okay. So I think we go into Urshifu first, because my opponent's last one should be Kingdra, right? So Grassy Glide should finish things off quite nicely for us, but that was really scary, and this is where the Bulk Inspector really comes in handy for us. So I got a defense drop on both of these, so Wicked Blow is going to really wreck either. We still have one more turn of Max Inspector, which is obviously great. I think we just go Wicked Blow Max Strike in this position. Oh, I guess my fear, maybe it's better to Phantasm. Yeah, I don't think we actually need to speed drop. Okay, I'm down to just go for Wicked Blow onto Rotom then, and just Phantasm onto the Politoed slot. Okay, they're not going to switch out, which is... this one's... it might just be a double protect, actually. That would make a lot of sense. It wasn't. That's a little bit frustrating because I could have just reversed my attacks, right? If I just went Phantasm into Rotom, Wicked Blow into Politoed, that would have been a double KO. I thought it was likely, though, that Politoed would switch out there. So, yeah, nicely done by my opponent. It's still not that bad, though, right? Like, we have Rillaboom in the back, and I have Focus Sash as well. And so, like, I have, you know, really powerful attacks right now into my opponent's team. They're going to have Kingdra in the back, which makes this scary, though. And I think if we had picked up a double KO, this would have been game over. Well, maybe not necessarily, actually, because you can only switch in one Pokemon right now. But, yeah, I could have picked up a double knockout there. Okay. So it's going to be a close finish for sure. I wish we were AV right now. The question is, like, do you actually bring out the... Yeah, they bring out Grimmsnarl first. Okay, so maybe it's not that bad. Because what I can do is just go for Fake Out onto Grimmsnarl, Wicked Blow into Politoed, right? That's another KO, and then it's 2v2. I think I have to go for the Wicked Blow onto Politoed. It has revealed the, yeah, because it's revealed the Hydro Pump, I can't risk taking any damage. So it should be a free knockout here. Okay, man, my question is whether or not Grassy Glide KOs Grimmsnarl from the range that it's at. That's another big component to this. Okay, we get the KO on Politoed. Nice. Yeah, I mean, if I had reversed my attacks last turn, it would have been the same scenario, just with Kingdra out on the field already, and I'd have a Fake Out. So, I don't know. I guess, I mean, the position we're in here isn't terrible. It should be Kingdra, right? Yep. My other question here is whether or not a Grassy Glide and a Sucker Punch just knock out Kingdra. If you're my opponent, you're probably going to Reflect with Grimmsnarl, right? I really do want to double up onto Kingdra here, but the thing is, I can't beat Grimmsnarl with Urshifu. So I think I'm just going to Wicked Blow into the Grimmsnarl and Grassy Glide into it. If Glide just picks up the KO, that's great. Then the Wicked Blow gets redirected into Kingdra. That should win us the game. But even if it doesn't, we at least get the KO. Okay, great. I think that should win us the game then, because they don't get a Reflect off now. Yeah, they're just not going to opt for Hurricane onto Rillaboom. Nice, and Rillaboom even survives that. Wow, some really clutch survivals today. But even if we fainted there, we would win the 1v1 with Urshifu against Kingdra, because Wicked Blow into Sucker Punch I think might just be a KO. Even if Sucker Punch isn't a KO, my opponent would need a... Oh, that definitely would have been a KO. They would have needed a accuracy drop, right? Oh, I actually forgot that the rain timed out perfectly for us as well. So, yeah. Glad to feature what Nasty Plot Spectrier can do, right? Because yesterday was all about the Charizard, and this was just not a matchup for Charizard at all, right? If you look at what my opponent brought, Politoed, Kingdra, Rotom-H, Charizard can't do good damage into any of those. The best he can do is Max Quake, but doesn't seem worth it. The reason why Charizard is interesting is, let's say we were playing a best of 3, I could totally see my opponent playing towards Kartana instead, and so, like, in adjustment, I could see my opponent making is going with the slower route, maybe, say, Poly, Rotom, Kartana, Grimm, or Goth. Then Charizard becomes a little bit more interesting, but yeah, now we can just... what's my opponent's win condition? Confusion on Rillaboom. I'm just debating whether or not I want to go for a Wicked Blow rather than a Sucker Punch, but yeah, like, there was actually a slight win con for them there, I think, which is you... I hit myself in Confusion, and then you protect and bypass the Sucker Punch mind game like 8 times in a row. But I think I would just consistently Sucker Punch. Oh, actually, no, sorry, it didn't even end up mattering. Wicked Blow was actually the right play, because we're faster than Kingdra. I forgot that the rain was already over. Reminds me of yesterday's episode where I totally forgot. Yeah, Hydro Pump's really interesting, where I totally forgot about the fact that the Incineroar already revealed the weakness policy. Maybe Kartana, and then, yeah, dual screens Grimmsnarl. So pretty much everything I expected was Nasty Plot Rotom as well, with Goggles. So Rotom not having recovery was nice, although I guess the way we set it up, it didn't end up mattering too much, and Spectrier was a very clear MVP of this game, right? Being able to survive with so much from that initial Max Lightning, and then also being able to do so much damage after the Dynamax, and then surviving with just 9 HP. All of those added up really, really well. And then Rillaboom just getting the knockout on a Grimmsnarl was critical. So while my opponent was able to set up Light Screen, they never got Reflect up, and that set up for our physical attackers in the end game quite nicely. So yeah, definitely pleased about that one. And fun game to kick things off here. Okay, second match of the day, and do we use this team? We definitely used the Stakataka, like, team a while back, but I don't remember if it's this exact same Pokemon. I don't think so, right? Yeah, that one had support Spectrier, so no, it's not it. Okay, well, they have Comfey plus Moltres, which is obviously a problem. But they also stack attack, and in yesterday's game 3, I didn't bring Charizard because I was too scared to stack attack, and once again, I am quite scared of it here. And my opponent has Rotom-H, so it's not going to be easy. But it's not fun. It wouldn't be fun if it weren't too easy, right? So I'm honestly thinking of Togekiss Spectrier again, because like if my opponent goes Comfey Moltres, I could just max Togekiss turn 1 and just max Starfall. I guess I would still need a crit though, right? Man, this doesn't look great, but I think because they have both Rotom-H and Moltres, I like really like Togekiss Spectrier as the lead. If they didn't have Stakataka, I would definitely play towards Charizard, right? Just go like Togekiss plus Dusclops, follow me Trick Room, bring out Charizard, and then go from there. But they have Stakataka, which makes Charizard's life really difficult. Now, even if my opponent doesn't end up bringing Stakataka, like I think I have to respect that enough in Team Preview, at least in a best of 1. So let's see what they go with. Okay, it is Comfey plus Moltres. This turn 1 is risky. I am leaning towards just maxing, going for max Starfall onto this thing, and just straight up Hyper Beaming. Because if we can just pick up a knockout onto this turn 1, we're in very good shape. So now they could just go like Protect Moltres, Trick Room with Comfey. Oh no. Oh no, I think that's what's coming our way. That would be really bad. I mean, how else would I be beating Comfey Moltres? I feel like this was my best lead. Unless they're like nasty plotting for some reason, that would be great. But I feel like they're probably going to go Protect Trick Room. Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. Oh, I see. The idea behind this was to fire a Wrath in case I max Spectrier. That's actually really smart. That is really smart. Hyper Beam I don't think will KO here, but in the end, like the max was not exactly the best, but I still don't regret it. Yeah, we end up activating Berserk. That's a little bit of a shame, but at the end of the day, it's not terrible for us. It's just that we're probably going to lose the... Yeah, I mean, we're going to lose Spectre, obviously. The nice thing is that Togekiss is so bulky, even at +3 special attack, that barely tickled the Togekiss, but could have just gone for Dazzling Gleam. That being said, I think a lot of players would max the Moltres on turn 1, so I don't mind respecting that. Okay, I mean, getting... You know what? It's like I spent all of this effort just to get rid of Moltres, but my opponent still has a Rotom-H in the back, and that's just going to crush me now, so... I don't know what the right approach in this game was, right? I can't go, like, follow me Nasty Plot, because that just gets wrecked by Moltres. So it's a combination of Moltres, Stakataka, and Rotom-H that makes this matchup really tough for us. Now, if I'm my opponent, I'm probably just going to go into Rotom-H. I don't even see how we get out of this. Because I don't have Airstream either. I mean, we have Rillaboom to which we can protect for a turn. I have to stall out Rotom-H's max and somehow have Urshifu out, because Wicked Blow into Rotom right now is not doing enough. They should bring out Rotom always here. Is that Rotom? Wow. Did they not bring Rotom then? Could be the case. Okay. So if I'm my opponent, what am I doing? I'm maxing Stakataka, probably rock falling into Togekiss. So what if I go for Max Guard here and just Wood Hammer into Comfey? Now it might be Focus Sash Comfey, it probably is. Oh, they have a Mamoswine on their team. Oh, they didn't max the Stakataka. That's not good. Oh dear. Well, I don't think Woodhammer KOs here, unfortunately. But this is actually pretty interesting now because... I mean, first of all, it's a lot of damage. Trick Room. That was smart. Yeah, even if I brought Urshifu out, I'm going to be honest, I don't think I was ever reading the ally switch. So, it definitely put us in a tricky spot. Waste of a Max Guard there, too. Yeah, I mean, like, my opponent has so many strong threats here. What do I do now? If you're my opponent, you could just max stack attack off, Floral Healing, Steel Spike Togekiss. I don't even think Glide KOs the Comfey. I guess I could hope for a Glide critical hit here. I'll Max Flare and go for the Grassy Glide. But they should max Stakataka and just heal it now. So if we can get a crit onto Comfey and one-shot it, and it can't get the healing off, maybe that'll be good for us. Even if I read into Ally Switch, I guess what I should have done was Flare and Glide. Or sorry, Flare and Woodhammer into the same slot. If I had done that into Comfey, that actually would have maybe won us the game. Like, the Ally Switch was a little bit risky on my opponent's end, but it makes sense because now it pays off so well. Oh, right, sorry. I don't know why I thought Floral Healing and Glide were at the same priority. Floral Healing is obviously +3. It's because I was thinking about Fake Out having the same prio. Yeah. And they're going to go for Rockfall, which means at least Comfey faints, but don't think this is... Oh! They target Rillaboom. Huh. Well, that's actually really interesting. This actually gives us a shot, honestly. Because we ended up surviving, and they didn't even get a defense boost through that either. Mainly because we have Urshifu in the late game, right? The thing is that stalling out Trick Room is going to be nearly impossible, but I do have Protect at least on both of my Pokemon. Kind of surprised to see Rockfall there, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like getting a defense boost through Steel Spike is more valuable at this point in the game for my opponent. This is still tough though, right? They made a really smart play to not max on turn 1. And I was hoping to just, you know, get rid of Moltres and win from there. Yeah, and they bring in Rotom now. It's probably still a lost cause at this point. But the thing is, like, this game was winnable. If I went Flare Woodhammer on the turn they ally switched, I actually think... Well, I guess they'd still have Rotom in the late game. Like, this is... I just don't know what we can really do. Charizard wasn't the answer, really. And Dusclops wasn't. So... Yeah, honestly, I feel like my opponent has multiple like, Stakataka was an issue for us in Game 3 yesterday. Rotom-H's been an issue just in general. And Moltres meant I couldn't really set up with Spectrier in the early game either. So, just a lot of tough Pokemon to go up against. I mean, I think I'm just going to double Protect here. We need to get Urshifu out after Trick Room is over. That's basically it. But the thing is, I just can't do damage into Rotom. I don't have any rock damage. Or any, like, neutral damage, even. But I might as well go for the double Protect this turn if they go, like, you know, Steel Spike Togekiss. There's Steel Spike. Yep, okay. Yeah, so this is still, like, potentially winnable if I get a double Protect, I think. Yeah, but the defense boost is so bad for us too, right? He went for Overheat. That's interesting. That makes sense though, I guess, because the sun is up, so it's like you don't mind just going for that burst of damage anyway. Is there anything funky I can do with Fake Out? There's only 2 turns of Trick Room left, right? So like I could follow me, switch Rillaboom out into Urshifu. But then I'd be down at 1 HP. There's still... Because there's 2 turns of Trick Room left, I feel like I kind of have to switch out. Okay. If we get the double Protect with Togekiss, I actually think there's a slight chance we can do this. If we don't get the double, is it doable? Probably not. If they Rockfall here as well, like that'll definitely spell the end of me. The Togekiss does get the double. Okay, so it makes this still a match. Okay, and they do Steel Spike. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying my best here, but this is still nearly impossible, I think. If they miss Overheat, though, I actually think we'd win. So, yeah, this is why you don't give up, you know, as I always say, no matter how bad the matchup, but they are going to connect Overheat, which is fine. I mean, I can't complain about something like that. Okay. I think it is probably still a lost cause, mainly because Stakataka has all these defense boosts, and it healed up so much, right? So it's not like I can just one-shot it. Now it's the last turn of Trick Room. I can protect the Urshifu, obviously. I wonder if it's valuable to actually just go for a triple Protect with Togekiss. I can even switch Togekiss out into Rillaboom. Oh, that does conserve Heat Wave. Like, what does Rillaboom offer me right now? Just a Fake Out, basically, right? If you're my opponent, you're probably just going to Rock Slide. And there's still one more turn of Sun after this. I don't know. It doesn't seem winnable, but... Okay, I'm gonna go swap here and protect. With the idea of what? Heat Wave? Even if we Heat Wave burn, I don't see a good game plan here. Like, if Overheat missed and we got the double, the odds of that are obviously really slim, but it gives us a shot, because then Urshifu doesn't take any damage, and then a full HP Urshifu could maybe handle this endgame. Could have also banked off a Rock Slide miss this turn. Maybe that was correct. Yeah, that just knocks out Rillaboom. Get an attack boost, and their Nasty Plot. Yeah, so actually, if I banked off the Rock Slide miss there, I think it's kind of greedy for them to not Nasty Plot. Because you never need to, right? I'm already at such low HP with everything that Thunderbolt will finish it off anyway. So, yeah. You should always Thunderbolt Urshifu here, and you could just Trick Room or Rock Slide with Stakataka. In the end, though, like, the Nasty Plot, like, regardless, they already have an early enough lead, so it doesn't end up making that much of a difference, really, at all. Man, I mean, I can Heat Wave, and I think what I'm going to go for is just hope that they miss Rock Slide and go for Rock Slide for some reason. And Heat Wave, we could blow him to Rotom, but this was always... I didn't really see a good path to victory here, to be honest. This is not an easy matchup. And they played it really, really well. Like, the decision... And wow, they actually almost one-shot. The decision not to Dynamax Moltres was really well done on their end. Okay. Yeah, they outspeed with Rotom anyway. Yep, and they correctly... So our win con here is if they miss like Rock Slide with Stakataka, but there's really no reason to Rock Slide. You can just Gyro Ball or Trick Room, and we actually end up missing Heat Wave. But it was never gonna... Yeah, I don't think that really... But that actually did so much in a stack. Wow. And they correctly Trick Room too. Yeah, well done. I mean, it was a close fight in the end, but it feels like my opponent was just one step ahead of me the entire way. I don't know, if I wasn't expecting Moltres, if Moltres didn't max, like, let's say it maxed turn 1, I actually think our turn 1 play is really, really strong. But since my opponent made the really smart decision to not max, how could I have counteracted that? I guess just Starfall into the Moltres, switch out Spectrier. That's such a tough play to make, though, because who would I switch into? Like, Rillaboom, Urshifu? Neither of those are great. Yeah. I could have read into the Ally Switch turn, because, like, Ally Switch is one of the more common moves on Comfey. I was just expecting Stakataka to max that turn. But I guess even if we had doubled up into Stakataka there, it would have been Rotom plus Comfey. Oh, then it's more doable, right? Because then I can just double up onto the Comfey, pick up a knockout, and then Urshifu can stall out Rotom's Dynamax. So, I guess I should have thought about the Ally Switch, but to be honest, like, I don't really have any regrets in this game in the sense that when a matchup is really, like, not, you know, amazing for you, it does become more of, like, a prediction game, right? So that's why your team matters a lot in VGC, and this team is really strong. It just didn't match up super well specifically into the combination of, I mean, Comfey, Moltres, Stakataka, and Rotom, those are all not easy Pokemon to go up against, and my opponent had all of them, right? So, in a matchup like that, it's like, yeah, maybe there were some plays here and there we could have done better, but the reality is that they had the advantage and then also executed the advantage well. So that's why, like, team building is such an important element of Pokemon. Battling is only a portion of it. You can only go so far with whatever team you have depending on the matchup. And, you know, I want to make sure that it doesn't sound like I'm criticizing the team, because that's not the case at all. Every team is going to have subpar matchups, and we just happened to run into a team that had a lot of tough counters to us. So it's like, you know, I could have maybe found some creative plays here and there, but the reality is that my opponent had like 3 Pokemon, all which were really significant, like, Dynamax threats, and none which I could deal with super reliably. And they made a very smart play turn 1. Like, this is why you also have to execute even if you have a good matchup, right? Because let's say my opponent actually maxes that Moltres on turn 1. This is actually a completely different game, because if you don't get a max on Stakataka or Rotom, they are significantly less of a threat, right? Meaning Urshifu and Rillaboom can actually handle them a little bit better. So my opponent also, I think, played really, really well. And that was like a really brilliant turn 1 on their end. So kudos to them. So that's not a game, you know, you should never feel bad about your losses. And this is an example of a game where afterwards I'd reflect and be like, well, I just feel like I'm pretty weak to these Pokemon. And no matter, even if I played perfectly, like, it still wouldn't have been super easy. And then so often if that happens, you want to go back to the team building process and reassess, hey, are these Pokemon significant enough? Will I encounter them enough for me to want to edit my team? Or maybe you're willing to compromise a little bit, because you're not going to have a good matchup against everything, right? Pokemon is a game where matchups do come into play, and that last game is an example of one in which yeah, they're just like a couple of Pokemon in conjunction with each other like gave us some issues. So yeah, but kudos to my opponent because that first turn was really, really well done. So let's look for our next match here. All right, last game of the day, and wow, that is a really cool team. Tornadus, Durant, Zapdos, Politoed, Umbreon, and Regidrago. Okay, I feel like I should just play towards Charizard under Trick Room in this game because they don't have great fire resists. Their only real fire resists are going to be, what, Politoed and Regidrago, and neither of those really threaten Charizard under Trick Room. So if I want to set up Trick Room, we can just lead Dusclops plus either Togekiss or Rillaboom. Like, I think I'm probably going to go Dusclops, Rillaboom, Togekiss, Charizard. I just don't know in what order. If they didn't have Tornadus, by the way, I would lean more towards playing with Spectrier, but they also have a Umbreon, which isn't like super easy to go up against. I think I lean towards Rillaboom Dusclops, honestly, in this position, just because Fake Out is pretty strong here. And then Charizard plus Urshifu in the back. Okay, nice. So I'm glad we get a mix of different strategies today. Yesterday, I tried to bring Spectrier in Game 3, but kind of just got crushed, unfortunately. So, yeah. Spectrier did really well in Game 1 for us. In Game 2, it wasn't Spectrier's fault. Like, maybe there was some room to actually bring Charizard in Game 2. Because, like, we don't necessarily need to set up Trick Room. I didn't think about that very much as an option. If I had Charizard... Yeah, my opponent just made such a good play on turn 1 that last game. Like, I fully expected them to max, and they did not fall into the trap of maxing. So, that alone was like a game-winning play. This is a great lead by my opponent, too. Umbreon plus Zapdos, meaning I can't go for Fake Out because of Inner Focus. Still fine. I don't mind that too much, honestly. Just that Umbreon might go for a Yawn here onto us. If I'm my opponent, what am I doing? Max Airstreaming Rillaboom. Lefties plus Life Orb. Airstreaming a Rillaboom, Yawn into Dusclops. But to be honest, Charizard's just so darn good here that I think I'm still willing to just Trick Room and go for a Grassy Glide onto Umbreon. Would Togekiss have done anything differently? No. My opponent just found the best lead. That covered for Rillaboom Dusclops and Togekiss Dusclops. Because Togekiss would just one-shot either of Dusclops' partner, and then Umbreon would get a Yawn off. So, yeah. Really good leads by my opponents these last 2 games. If I knew my opponent was going to go Umbreon Zapdos, do I even have a significantly better lead? I don't really think so, to be honest. Because, like, Togekiss threatens Zapdos threatens Togekiss so much. So I'm just going for Glide because I know I'm going to faint with Rillaboom anyway. Unless my opponent, like, doubled up on Dusclops, which would be really interesting. But, yeah, it's Airstream into Rillaboom. Okay, gets the knockout. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, I guess this next turn is going to be interesting. Because obviously I can just go Sunny Day, Wildfire. They do have Politoed for weather control in the back, which is a little bit scary. Oh, man. That is really bad news. I didn't even know Umbreon got Taunt. Wow. Oh, jeez. That's going to be a difficult one to come back from. I think the upside is that I can stall out my opponent's max right now. I'm curious how fast the Umbreon is, because we can obviously just close combat Nightshade this turn. This is still winnable. But, yeah, that was... Wow. I feel like I should know that Umbreon is Taunt, but every time I see Umbreon, I just see the same movesets like Foul Play, Snarl, Moonlight, Yawn. So I thought the worst thing it could do into Dusclops there was just go for a Foul Play. Sorry, not a Foul Play, a Yawn. So that's really neat. Very, very cool. And unfortunately, I had no way to guarantee Trick Room despite having Fake Out and Follow Me. Because Togekiss would probably just faint from the Max Lightning anyway. So, because it was Yawn, Umbreon, like, this was, yeah, really the perfect lead, which was nicely done by my opponent. Okay, they're gonna Max Lightning here. That's actually kind of interesting if we outspeed Umbreon here. Like, Max Airstream plus Foul Play would have just KO'd the Urshifu, so if we outspeed Umbreon, this is actually a really critical turn. Let's see. Okay, more Life Orb. Yeah, okay. I don't know if Umbreon would have even outsped us at +2 speed, but this also isn't max speed on the Urshifu, so maybe it would have. Alright, that definitely keeps us in the match then, I would say, but, I mean, it's still scary, right? I have to deal with the Life Orb Zapdos in the endgame, and Charizard still can't take attacks from it super well, so... This is still not looking easy by any means. I can at least protect the Urshifu this next turn. Okay, they bring in Politoed. That's fine, actually. Poly. Do I think I give up Urshifu here. Wildfire will KO Zapdos anyway at the range that it's out if I get the sun up. So I think it's better to Wicked Blow Politoed here. I just wish Taunt wore off this. Like I wish it had worn off already. I could also see my opponent going for, you know, because it's Life Orb, like maybe we can just Wicked Blow Zapdos and that puts it in Sucker Punch KO range. Okay, I'm actually down to double up on the Zapdos because Politoed's not a huge offensive threat to Charizard. And I could see my opponent expecting Urshifu to protect. If I'm my opponent, what am I doing here? I would always max Airstream the Urshifu, to be honest. So there's Airstream. Yep, okay. I couldn't protect against that. The best thing I could have done was go for a Sucker Punch. So maybe Sucker Punch on a Zapdos would have been more valuable for us here. The upside is that we have a late game Dynamax. The downside is I don't know if we might have fallen behind too much already. Okay. We need to avoid a burn here, that's for sure. Burn here would probably mean GG. But no burn at least. Okay, good. I mean, we shake off Taunt now. I get Charizard in, but at what cost, right? If you're my opponent, you should double up onto Dusclops right now. Even if I Wildfire, doesn't accomplish that much. Just a question of whether or not Dusclops can survive a double up. I honestly think it does. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go Trick Room Protect here. It's going to be close, but I think Dusclops is bulky enough to survive a double here. And if they mess up and don't double onto Dusclops, we should win the game. Because then we just go Sunny Day Wildfire. But, yeah, I don't know. I can't believe I didn't remember that Umbreon had Taunt. I just feel like I have not seen it on it in so long. And I guess, like, so most Umbreons in Series 8 weren't really running Taunt, and that's where Umbreon was really the most prevalent. So, yeah. Like I said, I typically just assume Foul Play, Snarl, Yawn. But the thing is, even if I knew Taunt was coming our way, I don't really know how to stop the Zapdos Umbreon lead immediately. Oh, they have Thunder as well. It's not good. Okay. I think we survived Scald. It's really close. They did correctly double up onto it, which is fine if we survive. Oh, Dusclops, you're so clutch. And it avoids a burn. Oh, let's go. Okay, nice. That is absolutely huge. Perfect. Okay, now I can go Sunny Day, Max, and Wildfire. And here's the thing, right? The whole game I was trying to play towards the Charizard sweep. And while we've fallen behind a bunch, we're actually in really good shape right now. I do wish I got that Sucker Punch off with Urshifu until a Politoed. I probably should have just gone for it, but I thought there was a possibility my opponent would double up onto the Dusclops slot there. Especially because, like, let's say you have Helping Hand on Politoed. Something like Helping Hand plus Max Airstream on the Dusclops would have been a really strong play. Because then, yeah, I get a Wicked Blow Off, but then you do so much damage into Dusclops. However, either way there is really, really clutch that we were able to survive. You know, no paralysis, no burn as well. So lucky enough to dodge the status conditions. But this is a game, even if we win, where I can look back and be like, I definitely could have played this a little bit better. Because, yeah, they had the perfect lead. The Zapdos plus Umbreon with Taunt was countered every Trick Room setup I could have gone with. So then the question is, like, can I play towards non-Trick Room? The answer typically is Spectrier. But that doesn't feel great either, to be honest. So I'm not sure. Either way, it was. I think if my opponent just went Airstream Foul Play into Urshifu, this game would have been a lost cause. And Politoed protects. Okay, perfect. So if Zapdos doesn't protect here, I really think it's just game over. They don't protect either. Okay, this is as good as it gets for us. Because now it means Dusclops even survives another turn. One thing I was worried about was the potential Politoed perish on, like, endgame. But I don't think my opponent can deal with Charizard under Trick Room in the sun for 3 turns. Politoed's also going to end up eating 4 turns of the G-Max Wildfire, which is perfect for us, right? So, yeah. Okay, Solar Power. I know yesterday I kept saying Life Orb on Charizard. I think in the end of Game 3, I was expecting us to think from Life Orb plus Wildfire, which was not Wildfire plus Sun. But yeah, there's no Life Orb. So they have Tornadus, which is interesting because this thing can obviously go for a, like, Rain Dance right now. But you know what's fun? If they Rain Dance, I can just counteract it with the Sunny Day, because your Rain Dance goes first, and then Sunny Day just sets it. Yeah. So I'm down to just go for Wildfire onto Tornadus. Just because this thing can confuse us. Yeah, I'm going to go Wildfire into Tornadus and just go for another Sunny Day in case they do have Rain Dance, which I think is, like, a possibility, especially because they have Zapdos with Thunder, meaning that, you know, you could go, like, Tornadus, Zapdos, and drop the Politoed. Politoed's just not an offensive threat right now. I didn't think about Swagger, but that makes sense. You know what? It's probably Lumberry Durant. Or they're just running Swagger. That was really scary. Even if we hit ourselves in Confusion this turn, it wouldn't. We actually would have been fine. But we needed to avoid one of two Confusions. So the odds are in our favor, right? Because my opponent basically needed to hit Swagger and then get two Confusions in a row. But in the end, yeah, we're lucky enough to just dodge the Swagger outright. But every time I dodge a Swagger, I just think back to 2013 and wish it could have happened back then rather than now. Either way, definitely, we've had some good fortune in this game. And this is why, like, you never want to dig yourself too big into like too deep of a hole, right? Because, like, the reality is, I just don't even know how I beat the Taunt Umbreon plus Life Orb Zapdos lead. Because I don't have a flying resist, so max Airstream is super consistent damage against anything. I guess it's to exert pressure with something next to Dusclops and basically use something like Spectrier as a pseudo follow me. Urshifu Dusclops outright could work as well, I suppose. Either way, now we can just go for Nightshade, go for Max Quake, get a special defense boost. You can't even KO Dusclops after that. So, yeah. We were definitely pretty lucky to dodge the Swagger, right? But, you know, in the end, you would need a hit Swagger, that's 85%, and then you would need Confusion, you know, 1/3 chance to actually roll that. So, slightly under 30% for us to get confused. Yeah, for Swagger to hit and Confusion to come out on the first turn. And then you have to roll again for the Swagger the subsequent turn as well, right? So I think we were probably okay in this game, especially because they ended up going for Scald onto Charizard rather than trying to KO Dusclops, although I don't blame them for not targeting Dusclops there. Like, I don't even know if a Scald would KO Dusclops in the sun there. Probably wouldn't, to be honest. So, yeah, but I thought that was just, like, a guaranteed win. The one thing we did have to avoid was, yeah, Rain Dance Tornadus, but them having Swagger actually, you know, gave them an out there in the end. So, yeah, well done on there and to recognize that that was the out they had to go for. But main thing here is Dusclops being so clutch, surviving Scald and Rain, and Thunder from Life Orb Zapdos, taking all 3 hits, getting Trick Room up, and then setting up Charizard for this endgame sweep. So, I think we definitely ran into some really strong strats today, right? Like, the second game, I'm now thinking, like, maybe there is a world in which, like, we end up maxing the Charizard. It just does so little into Nasty Plot Rotom, so I don't see, like, a clear path in that one. This one, the lead was tough, because this is why, like, in Pokemon and VGC, like, identifying a lead that covers for all of your opponent's options is really strong. My last 2 opponents did that really well. Like, here I am thinking, even in the best case scenario, even if I knew they were leading Zapdos plus Taunt Umbreon, or, you know, the Comfey plus the Moltres, like, I still don't have a really solid answer against it. And that's why one part of VGC is being able to identify these combinations, right? My opponents in Game 2 and Game 3 both did that really, really well. So in this game, like, in the end, like, the beginning was really scary, but I think the main upside is that we were able to stall out our opponent's Dynamax. They didn't get too much damage off across the board, and yeah, I can't help but wonder if they had gone for another Max Airstream rather than Max Lightning and doubled up onto the Urshifu, and Umbreon would have outsped Urshifu, they definitely would have won the game outright on turn 2. So I needed to get the close combat off into Umbreon to at least keep us in the game. Fortunately, we were able to accomplish that. But the reality is that my opponent had such a standout turn 1 that like, you know, if they... Actually, you know what? I'm just going to double check Umbreon's speed, because normally people don't have any speed investment on it. Because it is possible that even with 2 speed boosts, it doesn't outspeed, and my opponent's assuming we're max speed, even though we're actually adamant. You should typically assume max speed. So Umbreon, if you have 0 speed investment, gets to 85. Meaning you hit 170 at 2, right? Urshifu. And our Urshifu is... yeah, only hits 149. So, actually, even a Jolly Urshifu hits 163, meaning if Umbreon gets 2 speed boosts up, it will just KO Urshifu. So, like, I think we got bailed out a little bit in this last game because my opponent didn't just double up onto the Urshifu slot. And it would have been pretty much a loss after turn 2 if they had just gone Airstream into Snarl or Foul Play. So, that's one thing about Pokemon, right? Even if you fall behind, like, your opponent still has to identify, like, the correct plays to win the game, and you can always win potentially off, like, a misplay, right? I don't even know if I'd call turn 2 a blatant misplay. I guess, like, there's no reason to need to go for Max Lightning in that position, though, right? It does change the terrain, but it's not like I get any value from grassy terrain at that point. So, yeah. We would have been in a lot of trouble, I think, if Urshifu got doubled up into. But fortunately, it didn't, and we were able to come back despite a disastrous turn 1. So, once again, that's why you don't give up. However, I think what games 2 and 3 have been today, it's been really tough starting from turn 1, right? So I needed to either make better game plans or just come up with, mainly just come up with better game plans, honestly. Leading better, potentially, but it's like even seeing the taunt from Umbreon, I don't know what the best lead to beat Umbreon plus Zapdos is. Maybe it's Spectrier. I don't know. I'd have to give that some thought. Either way, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much, as always, for watching Road to Rank. Thank you to Rich for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.